Um,
So what is cracking, bruv?
yeah, what is cracking? Lovely day
I was
today.
watching some movie the other day. I've still got to watch the second half of it, called Spontaneous. It's the same writer as The Babysitter. Have you seen that?
Oh, has it got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it?
No. No. It's quite a
No.
good little movie. It's a little like horror comedy.
Babysitter.
It's a horror comedy from a couple of years ago. It was actually directed by Mick G, who was the director of Terminator Salvation, which is a movie I think gets way too much flack. I actually really enjoy the first 2/3 of that. But he directed it a couple of years ago. Anyway, I thought you'd know that movie, so it was a way I could connect it. You don't, so it's pointless. But anyway, he wrote and directed this movie, and it's basically about this high school in a little town in America where one day a student in class just spontaneously explodes, and she just explodes blood and guts all over him, and no one knows why. And then other students start exploding, and so the government comes in and they put all the students into like this big lab and they're trying to work it out. But it's not really played as a straight horror movie. It's more played as just a teen movie with this happening, and because it's happening, the backdrop of that makes them all start thinking like, oh shit, I could die at any second, so I've got to actually start living. So, the main girl gets asked out by this boy that they've always kind of fancied each other, but he's never had the bottle to ask him out, and it actually becomes just a romance set up against this. And this is, for me, like, I obviously don't like rom-coms and horse shit like that, but I actually love romance movies when they're odd like this. It's kind of reminded me of, you ever seen that movie with Mark Ruffalo and Marissa Tomei, where he plays a guy that thinks he's from the future, but he's not. He's just a psycho. And it's about they fall in love, and it becomes that toxic relationship where she nearly starts even buying into the delusion just because she doesn't, she's in love with him and she doesn't want. Well, I really love weird romances like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got on my list. I don't like romances either. I've got on my list. I know it's not a romance, but I want to watch the Lobster film.
That's on my list as well. Literally
Yeah,
my
need to
list. I
watch
have on
that.
the list.
Because this director, he's Greek, isn't he, this guy?
He is. Have you ever seen any more of his films?
No, I need to watch A Sacred Deer as well.
That's brilliant. See, I haven't watched The Lobster yet. It's one of those films where I knew I'd like it even when it came out, and I read about it 2014, ages ago, and just haven't got around to seeing it yet. But Killing of a Sacred Deer is a fantastic film, and I can't remember the name of it, but he's not the lead role, but he's essentially the villain in the movie, the creepy kid in the movie. You've seen this, haven't you? You haven't?
No, he's now the Barry Keoghan.
Yeah, he's the new Joker.
Yeah, he's the new Joker. Yeah.
But he is so fucking good in this movie, and Colin Farrell is so good in it. Colin Farrell's one of those actors where maybe this is just my own head and I'm projecting, but he seems like one of those people where he doesn't actually. I feel like people forget he's actually a really good actor. Like, he doesn't get enough credit for actually being able to completely transform into a different role. Because I think some of his most prominent roles is sort of just him with his own accent playing himself.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me a bit of when Steve Carell used to be just known for playing the idiots in comedy, and then he went to serious roles, and he's actually a very good actor.
You're right, but I feel like he actually gets his credit for being,
he does.
for being a serious actor. Yeah. Again, maybe I'm just projecting, maybe it's just in my head, but yeah. The Lobster, I definitely want to see that. We should watch it together and do a review.
Yeah, we should. I need to see Killing of a Sacred Deer as well.
It is. It's so good and so odd, and it's one of those things where horror, I wouldn't straight call it a horror, but horror, thriller, disturbing sort of movies like this, where it's more about atmosphere than anything, it's such an interesting genre because it's such a fertile ground for a young director or a first time director, or for anyone ever really of any age, to make something really interesting on virtually no budget. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's not many movies that you can make it so intriguing on such a small budget, and it gives so much opportunity to showcase directing skills. There's some sort of movies where it's a good script, it's a good story, you have a good cast, don't complicate it. It's one of those movies where it's just point the camera and shoot, just make the movie. And then these sort of small horrors give so much ground, so much room to get inventive with the storytelling and the direction. And that's why I think it's such a... You see so many good first-time filmmakers make horror movies. And so many of... When you look at budget to box office ratio, some of the best of all time tend to be... Like, if you have a small indie project that makes a shitload of money unexpectedly at the cinema, 9 times out of 10 it's a horror movie.
This actually brings me on to another point that's just popped into my head. I saw a trailer earlier, or maybe yesterday evening during the football. It's a new horror by A24.
Oh, The Men.
That's it. They're banging out films left, right, and centre. They got that Time Warp one with the girl from Killing Eve.
Yeah, I was surprised at that because that seems like a really big budget one, which I haven't checked out the budget, but usually A24's MO is they make a bunch of movies and give complete, as far as I can tell, pretty much complete creative control over to the directors and writers and whatever, but with a very small budget, usually about the 2 million mark.
Yeah.
And they have so many gems, but when you actually look at like the amount of movies they put out here, they maybe will make like 10, 20 movies a year. Only 2 or 3 of them will really get a wide release, if that. But because the budget's so low, they only need a couple of hits. But I'd be really interested to see how Everything Everywhere All at Once does. Because that's got to be a fairly big budget. That's got to be their biggest budget movie to date, surely.
Very well pronounced. That's a fucking tongue twister.
I wasn't confident as I was saying.
What was that thing they always used to fucking make us do at school? The seashell and the
seashells by the... How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
But they've also got that other...
Do you know what? Sorry, just before you move on to that. Do you know what's the most deceptively hard one? Say red lorry, yellow lorry. Really fast a bunch of times.
Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. But they've also got this other one coming out. I think I've done a week.
Sorry, before you go into that, what do you think of The Men? The look of it.
Oh, sorry, going back to that. I've only seen the trailer. I was like, I've never heard of this one, and then it comes up at it. But is it supposed to be set in Ireland or something?
I don't know.
It looks British.
A24, it definitely is British.
Yeah.
A24 is usually the sign of, it's horror and it's A24, so it's going to be really good. This one I'm not too sure about. I don't really like the look of it, if I'm honest.
Because they've also got and I think we've done a post for it on our Instagram page. They're releasing that one where they're filming a porn or something.
Pleasure. I've been trying to watch that everywhere. Like, I can't even find it illegally streaming.
It was definitely in the cinema because I saw a trailer for it when I went to see...
in the UK cinema?
Yeah.
I really want to see that.
The last time I saw at the cinema in East End, Genesis, that was a trailer, and it was also a trailer for... Do you know about that weird film about nuns?
No.
It's caused loads of controversy because it's nuns in lesbian relationships.
Oh, right.
So what the fuck's this?
And it's playing it straight, is it?
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
It's it's not like a comedy or something weird.
No. It's like playing it straight film. Apparently this guy has directed other stuff. I need to look into it because it was from the controversial director of. So he's kind of got that. I'll look into it for the next.
Just code for controversial means he's done good movies, not bullshit.
Yeah, didn't everyone get up in arms about The Passion of the Christ when that came out?
Yeah, but I can't remember who because
someone did.
Christians have a problem with that. I mean, that was pretty much. I think Jews had a bit of a problem with it because it was, Mel Gibson as well was making it, so probably had a point. But do you know what movie I'm looking forward to as well? Because there's a lot of biopics coming out. There's Elvis. There's I can't remember any other ones, but there's a lot. Just trust me.
Yeah.
There's Elvis, but there's whatever. And I'm always quite excited about those movies when they're done. A lot of production value and. It's someone who's a legend, so there's going to be a great catalogue of music to pick from. It's going to be an easy watch, most likely. Do you know what I mean?
Like Walk the Line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's also a Marilyn Monroe one coming out. It's not the same thing, but glitz and glamour. I was like, that'll be interesting. It's got Anna Armaris, or however you say her name.
Definitely seeing that.
So I thought, okay, yeah, I'll probably see that. That'd be quite interesting. I'll probably see it when it comes out on telly. Like, I'm not going to see it in the cinema, whatever. See it at the time. But then I found out the director is Andrew Monique, Andrew Monique? I can't remember how to say his name now. But he's the guy who made The Assassination of the Coward Jesse James, The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, and Chopper.
Yeah,
and he's making it. So how interesting does that sound? And it's going to be an 18.
Let's go back to Chopper for a second.
All right.
Did you know about this Chopper? Because we got this mate, we won't name any names, and he was obsessed with this film. And it was like, I remember we watched it in the green room, and he was like standing up going, like, he was more or less like an excited kid, you know what he's like, and then Chopper's gonna, everyone's like, we haven't seen this, blah, blah, blah. I'd never even heard of Chopper or this film before I saw it then.
No, I don't think so. Are you asking if I'd heard of Chopper before?
No.
Oh no, I probably had actually, because my brother loved this movie. And actually, it was one of those movies at that age, if you were like a boy at 14 around that time, it was one of those movies that got passed about. Like you gotta watch. Like, I remember Football Factory was kind of one of those movies where they were like, oh, you've seen Football Factory?
Yeah.
It was just a film you had to see if you were a kid at that age. So, I feel like I probably had heard and seen Chopper before. I remember the first time I saw Chopper, it was Christmas Eve at like 11 o'clock, and I was like 13 or something. And all I remember, I was started falling asleep about the point where he gets his dick out in the bar for the policeman. Oh, yeah. What a great movie, man. I remember also, before I saw it, my brother, to get me into the idea of watching it, showed me a YouTube clip of Eric Bana meeting the real Chopper. And talking to him. They're like outside a caravan or something. And you just see, like, he is one of those mesmerizing. He's one of those mesmerizing sort of characters who, there's something like, it's a weird vibe you get. It's a particular feeling you get when someone's really intimidating and really charismatic at the same time. You know, when you meet someone like that in real life, it's a funny combination where you actually are enjoying the conversation, but you're also fucking scared of what they might do at any second. Yeah, he just had like a cigarette in his mouth the whole time. It was like, I can't do an Australian accent. It was like, I've done it. Done him in, mate. I've done him in. I just love it. You remember when he goes round and he's about to shoot that guy?
Yeah.
Later in the movie, but before he sees his daughter, and he's like, "You all right? It's your Uncle Chop Chop. How you doing?"
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah.
And he cuts his ears off, and what a fucking movie.
But I'm going back to the topics of biopics. I'm quite excited about this. Well, it's not going to be released for a long while. The kind of semi-autobiographical, can't speak either, Steven Spielberg one, where it's like about his life and like how he got to become a filmmaker. It's got like Seth Rogen in it and shit.
Is Seth Rogen playing him?
No, I don't think so. But I'm just really interested because obviously,
I mean, I feel like he's going to cast someone way better looking than himself to play him. He seems like, obviously I love Steven Spielberg, but for some reason I just could picture him. He's producing it as well, isn't he?
I think he's directing it.
He's directing a movie about his own life.
It's semi, so
okay.
It's
okay.
A lot of it is events, but I'm just quite interested to know. Well, it's just be interesting to see the character arc of him just being young and then becoming like one of the greatest directors of all time. If not the greatest director of all time.
Maybe that could give him a new lease of life, because Spielberg arguably is, like you just said, arguably. I wouldn't put him
definitely
arguably the greatest director of all time. But I do feel like he's been running on empty the past couple of years. And by empty, I don't necessarily mean skill, but inspiration. Like, his past couple of movies have just been a bit meh.
To be honest,
they have all the genius storytelling, but they don't really have the magic. Do you know what I mean? There's something missing. And partly I think it's when he went down that whole Tintin route with Peter Jackson, and it all became like motion capture and stuff. And I don't know, he's just gone off the boil a bit, but maybe literally telling an alternate version of the story of his life might shake him up a bit and give him some new inspiration.
The last one I caught was actually Super 8, because it had all the hallmarks of a classic Spielberg film, like sort of alien kind of shit.
You know that wasn't Spielberg though.
Oh no, it was Abrahams.
Yeah.
But he was involved in it.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was just checking you didn't think that.
No. Yeah, I did get confused there.
Okay.
I thought he did direct it for a second, but no, he didn't. I knew he produced it, and then looking at it, I was like, this could be decent, because it does have like a kind of E.T. kind of
What's the past couple of movies he's made though? So he made Bridge of Spies.
Didn't see that one.
It was alright. It was good actually. It was good.
Is that Mark Rylance?
Tom Hanks was in it.
Yeah.
It is actually pretty good.
Did he
make BFG?
No, he didn't do Church.
Was that him? Was he BFG?
Yeah, he was BFG.
Was that good? I remember
that was Mark Rylance. Sorry, it's BFG. Yeah, no, I obviously I've seen the original BFG. Couldn't be asked.
He made Warhorse. That was a bit dull.
Again, haven't seen that one.
Yeah, they're just I don't know.
And that Super, not Super 8, Ready Player One. I just couldn't be bothered to watch that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good, but again, do you know what it was? It's just it felt like you were watching a J.J. Abrams movie rather than a Spielberg movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it felt like someone was doing the Spielberg thing, but not doing it. Like, you know how in the 90s there was so many. I was inspired by Tarantino.
Yeah.
And it was, it was fun to watch and revisit some of those movies, but it's not. It feels very apparent that you're watching a Tarantino-inspired movie maker. Yeah, I don't know. He's just gotten off the ball, but he is so fucking good.
And this might sound...
And he's old now, like...
Yeah. This might sound stupid, because at the time, the reason I never watched Ready Player One... You know, like, you're not really feeling it, and then it's years later, and you just can't be bothered to go back to it.
Yeah.
I think I just watched that Wreck-It Ralph, which is also, like, kind of about video games as well, and I was like, I can't be bothered to watch two of those kind of films.
You can only fit two of the same genre in every decade.
Like, and Wreck-It Ralph's a good film, man.
I heard it's good. I've never got around to seeing it.
Man.
To be honest, I kind of resent those CGI computer animated movies now after they killed off entirely every other kind of animated movie.
I get you.
And I can't. There's something about it where I can't get into them anymore. But I want to. I want them to kind of evolve a bit. Like, it would be cool to start getting, like, there was that sausage fest or sausage party, whatever that was. That was a pile of shit. But it'd be fun to start getting some adult, some computer animated movies aimed at adult audiences or slightly older audiences. Do you know what I mean? Like, the way, like, why can't we have the Western modern version of anime and have like serious, interesting movies done computer animated?
That's why I really liked Fantastic Mr. Fox at the time, because DreamWorks were just dominating everything, and then Wes Anderson came along with like kind of stop motion
and
stuff.
That movie was a success, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Like, it proved it can be done. I've never actually seen Isle of Dogs. Is it good?
I've seen Isle of Dogs.
Is it good?
Yeah, it was good, but it was nowhere near as good as Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, fantastic movie. There's something about it where it is one of those movies where you're like, why the fuck? Like, they can't all be Wes Anderson movie, like, directed and helmed and whatever, but why can't there be more animations like this? Like, why can't there be more drawn animations, like the classical style animations?
Yeah.
Like, they're so fucking good. I feel like anime's the only ones that survived it. And even that, what's the Studio Ghibli is starting to go CG now as well. Like, they released a CG movie, I think, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was horrendous, apparently. But why? Like, are you seriously telling me? Firstly, they make a lot of, well, I suppose they do make family movies as well. But like, if you put Lion King on in front of my nephew or niece, they're gonna fucking watch it and love it. They don't go, put on Toy Story, like, this needs to be 3D. Like, why can't they make new ones?
Well...
Maybe it's more expensive.
Little Rosie's only seen the live-action version of Lion King, which he loves, and I was like, this is blasphemy, man.
Yeah.
Put the original one. But going back to Fantastic Mr. Fox...
Where's Mr. Bean?
There was a real charm about it that only Wes Anderson can do, and it really kind of reminded me of... Do you remember, like... the classic Wallace and Gromit, like Aardman animation stuff, like
Yeah.
it's just really like old school
Because there's
kind of
different.
animation.
There is definitely strengths to computer animated animation. Computer animated that it has over the other forms, but there's also strengths that stop motion has, especially when it's a certain kind of humor, like the kind of humor they get with in Fantastic Mr. Fox. Something about stop motion really lends itself to that, and there's strengths that classical animation, like the Lion King original, has over the other ones. That you just like there's a certain charm and certain way of like storytelling that you can't really capture in the other animated form. So it's just a shame that it's so. The thing about animation is it's one of those things where it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So there's no like independent filmmaking of animation. It just doesn't exist. So it's so much harder to. It's a wonder that any real crazy creative departures from the norm ever got bankrolled in the first place. Like Nightmare Before Christmas. Like it's an absolute wonder that movie ever got made and never got money thrown at it.
Do you remember our stop motion projects in media though?
What was it again?
Lego.
Oh yeah.
And Tyron's one was fantastic.
Tyron's one where they're building the house.
Literally.
It had the music from Badlands and True Romance.
Yeah, that was brilliant. But even then, like it was like a 4-minute video, and like it took him days and days to do it.
Well, it was about 20 seconds, and it took him
20 seconds. Yeah,
it took him a good 10 hours. He did actually knock that out in one day.
Yeah, because we weren't allowed in the room because if it like moved slightly, it would have messed the whole thing up.
He was a genius at work.
But I got another subject. It is actually in the UK here the hottest day of the year. So far. What films in this weather do you think is perfect to watch in like an outdoor cinema setting? So think of it like this: it's about this time. It's cooled down a lot, but still nice and warm and summery.
And you have the after effects of a hot day, so you're kind of like
sunburned,
tired,
and
you're ants.
You're there. You're sitting on like a grassy verge. You've got like a couple of beers, some like food, and you're just perfect chilled.
Yeah.
Like, what would your ideal one be?
Okay, well, let's just to make it fun, rule out the the Rolodex of 8 movies that are always at these actual outdoor cinemas.
E.T.'s gone.
No Goonies, no Jurassic Park, no E.T.
Yeah, that's gone.
No Back to the Future.
That's gone.
Okay.
I think there's more, isn't there? No, that is.
Well, if they don't spring to mind, we're not going to say.
Did you say Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Okay, that's gone. Okay, that's fine. It's hard.
Do you know what? This is one I saw once. I won't count it as like my own thought, but it's not a usual one, but it actually really suited it. It was in King's Cross. You know when they have those by the canal, they sometimes have a screen up, and they were playing the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet.
That would work.
And it worked. I don't know why. That's not like a movie I'd usually be like, whack that on, although I have always had a soft spot for it for some reason. But it just worked. I'm not sure what it was. I think it's because it's a movie that's a lot of the you know, everyone knows the story of Romeo and Juliet anyway without watching the movie. So you can kind of follow the beats without necessarily hearing all the dialogue. And then it's a lot of crazy bombastic visuals and really good music that everyone will recognise. So maybe that's partly why it works.
That would work. I'm just trying to think of my own one and ask the question. I was going to say Indiana Jones, but that's always...
No, that's a bait one.
That's always included.
I'm not giving you that.
Oh, no, yeah. Or you can't really have any Star Wars either, because that's a bit of a bait one.
Yeah, that's
a bait one as well. Fuck. Oh, this is annoying.
Alright, this might be a bait one, I don't know, but I'll say Mad Max.
No, I'll take that.
Partly because
I'll take that.
It's not heavy on plot, and it's a lot of action sequences and car chases, and generally, if you're going to go see it, you've probably seen it before. And it just has that feel of... Like, I feel like for some reason, on a hot day, you want to watch a hot movie. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like even if it's not a hot movie, like it should be like the color palette should be a lot of oranges and yellows. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
you
no, I
think
totally
about
get you.
like the ones that were on the Rolodex that we said of bait ones, Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
The Goonies, Jurassic Park. They all kind of have that general color palette. You can't have like The Thing on a summer's day. Well, maybe you could.
Do you know what I'm going for?
No.
You just put it into my head.
Wait, what did I say?
About the colour palette and all of that.
Okay.
This will be the perfect one. The Mummy.
Yes.
Set in fucking Egypt, and it's
Yeah.
a sick like action film. Man.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
Thank you. You planted the idea. There's more.
Top Gun.
Top Gun's a good one.
Yeah.
I feel like a good comedy as well. Have we even touched on a good like comedy?
I don't know if this is actually good, but I would like to see it. I don't know if it would like suit a mass audience, but Something About Mary.
That could work. Yeah, easily.
Because again, a lot of it. Because I keep saying about the visual being important because outdoor cinemas generally don't have the best sound systems, and then you're soaking up the outside ambience, which is very different to an indoor cinema. And then people are like, there's not the same ethics of being in a normal cinema. Like, you don't have to be quiet in an outdoor cinema. You can't be shouting, but it's not the same thing. People will be chattering and moving about and walking off and eating their crisps. But I feel like Something About Mary, it's a lot of visual. Again, it's a movie you almost definitely will have seen before if you're gonna go see it.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of the comedy's really, really visual.
That's a good point as well. You got Lee Evans on a walking stick, just falling over and shit.
You got Special Needs little brother who beats the shit out of Ben Stiller at the start.
Yeah. What films would, this is kind of like the same question but different.
Alright.
Films that you haven't seen in the cinema, if they are again on the big screen, that you rush in to see.
Oh, okay. The Revenant we've spoken about before.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, I saw that in the cinema originally, so forget that. Okay. Spartacus just randomly jumped to mind. The original Spartacus. Do you have anyone?
Well, I found it. The reason I'm saying it, I found this cinema called the Prince Charles Cinema, and I don't think they even have.
I've seen a film there. I've seen It's a Wonderful Life there.
Yeah, I don't think they have new releases. They just put on old films on the big screen. That's their whole selling point.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'd love to see Last of the Mohicans on the big screen. I think that'd be great quality.
I tell you one that we saw together, which is one of my favourite movies ever, was A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And we saw that in the BFI just by the Thames about probably nearly 4 years ago now.
Fucking hell,
I can't believe it's been that long. That's one of my favourite films ever, and it was just like watching it on the big screen in that big square box aspect ratio that he films in. It was just fucking unbelievable.
It's the first time I've ever been to the BFI actually. It's really cool because around there by the Thames.
I've seen It's a Wonderful Life another year there as well.
There was like really good like pubs and bars around there as well.
I love the South Bank. What else? Last Mohicans is a great one.
Last of Mohicans, Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
Oh, of course. Once Upon a Time in the West.
And The Room. The Room popped up. They're
The
showing
Room,
it.
really, yeah.
Like, I'd love to see that on the big screen.
Should we go see that?
Yeah, let's go and do it.
Should we actually go do that?
Yeah, it'll be so funny. Mark!
Because I want to see what it's like to watch that with a group of people.
Yeah.
And also, because anytime I've watched that movie before, I always have, like, I can go toilet, I can go make a cup of tea. I mean, you can go toilet in the cinema, but what I mean is you can switch off for a bit.
Yeah. To watch
seeing it in the cinema, you're actually stuck with the movie, like you can't run away.
And I feel like I would like to see, and I haven't decided on it yet, either on the outdoor cinema or the inside big screen at the Prince Charles, one Coen Brothers film.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
like an older one.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say Big Lebowski because I always mention that. So I would like to see something like Fargo, maybe. Because I think I saw... What's the one where Javier Bardem's running around?
No Country for Old Men.
I saw that on the big screen, so that's discounted. But
yeah, that would probably be one of the earliest the earliest Coen Brothers movies we could have seen in the cinema.
Or
Because they were always 18.
or possibly Raising Arizona, I think would be.
Yeah,
a good
that'd be
one.
great.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd want to... Oh, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the movies I'm jumping to are just the technically amazing movies. Or big epics.
Shining would be quite good.
The Shining
would
be fucking amazing. What else?
There's loads of them, man.
Yeah, there is. Like, you start listening off.
I mean
virtually all movies, really.
to be fair, I would quite like to see Heat on the big screen as well, man.
Yeah,
Because I think that would be, especially the shootout scene at the end.
that whole sequence
Yeah.
with like all that sound mixing running through
Yeah.
like a proper amazing sound
Yeah.
system. Oh,
That would be sick, man.
cool, blimey.
No, I don't want to take you.
No, go on.
You choose a subject. I think.
No, if you got one, I can't think.
Yeah, well, obviously the film news has been generated by the Johnny Depp trial. I'm not going to talk about that, but I did see one kind of interesting bit of film news where I was like, don't know about this actually. So they've announced Rob Reiner. Is it Rob Reiner or Rob Reiner? Anyway,
Rob Reiner isn't the director.
yeah,
And
he's
actor.
announced Spinal Tap 2.
Yeah, I
And
saw
I'm
that.
like, no, this is going to be... I reckon it's going to be so shit, man.
See, I'm not one of these people who say
So
I don't
annoying.
really believe a sequel can ruin the previous movie. Although continuing a series can. Like, I do feel like some of the later Alien movies kind of ruined
Yeah,
the
definitely.
first. So maybe I guess I am. But I also just think, like, why?
Yeah,
Like, don't you, like, make something new. I don't understand, like, unless he genuinely feels like I've got, like, the new, like, I know where to go with the characters now. I would never have made this unless I really felt like this is new. And occasionally, you know, Blade Runner 2049, I honestly arguably felt like it, taken away the merit of the first one being that it came up with the whole mythology and everything, but just as an objective movie, I nearly preferred it to the first one. So you never know, but you do just think, like, why?
I think there's some films that you just can't make a second one. Like, I know everyone was clamouring for Galaxy Quest 2. I'm like, that would never work.
I disagree with you. That could have easily worked.
Yeah, but I just think they all the Goonies too. Imagine if they tried that.
See, the fucked up thing about making a sequel to something is that it's kind of like, I remember hearing this analogy of a comedian when he was talking about, like, someone getting offended by a joke, and he says the problem is you can be as offensive as you want as long as the joke's really funny, and the funnier it is, the more you can get away with it, and people will give. But you're always trying to be funny, but sometimes you're not funny, and then you get in trouble. But you were trying to be funny, and it's kind of like making a sequel where you're saying it's sacrilegious, you're saying don't do it, but what if Francis Ford Coppola had heard that and thought, all right, I won't make Godfather 2. Like, realistically, it's fine as long as it's still amazing or still better than the first one, or at least as good as the first one. But if it's not, and really, I feel like to even be considered as good as the first movie in a franchise, it actually needs to sort of be better, because once you're going into the second movie, there's none of the newness. You know the characters, you know the setup, whatever its unique thing about its universal world or idea or storytelling or whatever, isn't fresh anymore. So it actually needs to be better just to feel as good.
My two go-tos for that are Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And
Aliens.
I was about to say Aliens, but that's a subject up for much debate.
Okay.
A lot of people prefer the first Aliens, you know, like the claustrophobic, more horror kind of environment. But I'm more like, what are you on about? It's Space Marines against like 10 fucking aliens.
Well, do you know what's brilliant?
This is sick.
Do you know what's brilliant about the Alien, well, the first two anyway, is that it was nearly like they were taking the franchise on a tour through the genres.
Yeah.
And that's the way they should have kept going with it, because you had the first one was a haunted house movie in space.
Yeah.
The second one was an all-out action movie.
Yeah, it was.
The third one, originally, at one point, like, the third movie is notorious for going through a million different scripts, million different directors, production hell for years and years and years. But at one point, Sam Raimi was going to make it, and it was going to be... He didn't even have a story. His whole pitch was just, the aliens come to Earth, and the poster is going to be a bunch of xenomorphs crawling out of a cornfield. How fucking good does that sound?
That does sound good.
He was saying it was going to be a bunch of aliens landing on Earth and taking over it's going to be in the future, but it's going to be in the future in a farming town. So it's still going to kind of be like so it's going to be that classic horror genre of a town, small American town gets taken over by some sort of monster.
Isn't it kind of like... Well, it's kind of like arachnophobia in a way.
It's like any one of those movies. There's a million of them.
Or the new Jurassic Park, because they finally do escape the park.
That's
and they're just running about the world.
I think we've spoken about this before, but yeah, we have actually, so I won't go into it too much. But I do respect the fact that this trilogy had a through line and steps where each one was kind of like a step forwards. And in the sense that the first one is sort of a rehash of the first three movies, but
yeah, it is.
But well, no, but they gave us a fully operating park.
Yeah, true.
Which we never saw. Then they gave us the island's gone. We've left the island, and now the third movie is about dinosaurs spreading around the planet. So they were actually more in keeping with the original novel, because that was a big part of the plotline, was that raptors were getting off the island in the book. In the first book. So in a lot of ways, it's more in keeping with the original novel, and it's braver in some ways than the original trilogy. Like the first two were going by the novels, but the third film, they could have done anything with it, but the third film was way more of a rehash of the first movie than anything else that came after it in the Jurassic World trilogy. But the problem with them is that they're shit. Like, these movies have been dreadful.
I thought the first one was watchable. I thought the second one was fucking dog shit.
Do you know what the big problem with it is? Other than the fact that it's just directed with a blandness that just makes it really dull and uninteresting. But they forgot that the originals were family horror movies.
Yeah.
There was no horror, there was no suspense. It was just
gimmicks.
CGI computer animated monsters running around eating people in big wide shots in daylight.
Yeah, and like gimmicks like, this is a bigger T-Rex than you've ever seen before. I'm on a bike and I can... Well, this is the first one. I'm on a bike and I can whistle to raptors and they're under my control.
That as well, like... That was, I will always
stupid,
hate that movie. Fucking Chris Pratt and his gang of raptors. What the fuck?
I thought of a really left field one for outside cinema.
Oh, yeah?
Small Soldiers.
Perfect. On that bombshell, we will see you next week.